Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. I'm not real happy right now, and I know you're not either. The Vols got creaked big time on this one. It's just all there is to it. Yep, they got the shaft. You could see this coming all the way. I was not happy about Ward Manuel being the chairman of the College Football Playoff Committee. I knew that was not good for the SEC, certainly not for the Vols. I'm going to tell you all about that at the end of this, and I think you'll probably agree with me that this was the worst case scenario as far as a chairman. Now, let me say something up front. He's perfectly qualified. Man's got 2 degrees at Michigan, and he's an athletic director and been an assistant athletic director. So he's plenty qualified. It's not that. It's just I don't like somebody that's under the NCAA's thumb right now like he is, and we're going to get all into that. But that's a major problem for me, especially a Big Ten guy being in charge like that and having all that sway. That bugs me because that means the SEC is going to get creaked. Now, Tennessee's not out of it. They're actually the first team out. And when I got this news, I thought I handled it pretty well.
No, we had a problem. I mean, we tried to do everything we could.
What do you mean?
Well, you know what I mean. That's it.
Yeah, that's about how you expect me to handle it. Jeez. Oh, man. Let's get into this. Now, here were the rankings based on strength of schedule and record and all that kind of stuff. And we actually wound up 11th. Now, you would think that'd get you in a 12-team playoff, but it does not because Boise State's in front of us and also a Big 12 team because you're letting the conference champion in front of everybody else, top 4. They automatically get a bye no matter what their record is. And then a group of 5 gets to be involved as well because of the socialist system they're using to make sure that people are happy, even though it's not based on earning it. So it is what it is. And I was concerned that one of the 4 teams in the SEC that have that are 8-2 with 2 SEC losses, one of them was going to get creaked. And I knew there was a decent chance it'd be Tennessee. Even though we beat Alabama and Alabama's getting in, you could just tell, you know, recency bias plays a big role in that. We had just lost to Georgia at Georgia. Now, nobody's beaten the Bulldogs in 5 years in Athens, but Tennessee's no good on the road, supposedly. Well, you know what? Georgia lost 2 games this year. Guess where they were? Well, you don't even have to guess. You know they're on the road. So, look, it's tough to win at places like Alabama and Georgia, and it's hard to win at Tennessee. I think we've lost 1 game at home in the last 3 years. It's just rare. When you're playing at home, there's a big advantage. It also affects the refs a little bit, and we saw that at Texas, you know, when they threw the trash on the field and they turned over that pass interference call. That wasn't even a call that could be reviewed, but they were like, we got to get home alive. And that's human nature with refs. You know, when you're getting screamed at, you don't like it. You'd rather not. So it gets a little bit tricky. But anyway, we're still got a decent chance of getting in, but it's still very aggravating. And here's your breakdown. They're figuring Boise State, although they really probably won't end up that. It'll probably be like a BYU in the Big 12 or something like that. But let's just, you know, doesn't really matter. That's how they jumped Tennessee. And then Oregon, Miami, Texas, etc. Oh, and by the way, again, talking about Ward Manuel, look at the top 5 teams. Guess what they all have in common, folks? You'll never guess. Yeah, they're all in the Big Ten. Imagine that. All those teams are better than virtually every single SEC team, according to this ranking. Yep, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana are in the top 5. You don't see another SEC team outside of Texas until number 7, and that's Alabama, and we beat them. So again, another reason I'm not a real proponent of having Ward Manuel in charge. And let's hear what Ward has to say here.
So, Ward, as we look at these, we had some pretty spirited debate out here early on about the value of strength of schedule, particularly as it pertains to Indiana and some of the SEC teams. How are you evaluating strength of schedule for undefeated teams that might be weaker as opposed to 1 or 2 loss teams who might have played a more difficult schedule?
Well, Reese, we certainly consider the strength of schedule in all the conversations that we have. And as we look at individual team strength of schedule as it compares to others, we look at also how the teams are playing. What is the success on the field? How are they playing? Who are they playing against is important. But it all comes into, a piece of what we debate and what we discuss, as well as looking at a lot of film on these teams.
All right, so there's his explanation. But again, it's a lot of opinion for sure. And there's 13 members on that committee, by the way. And for the Vols and really any team on the outside looking in, like Tennessee, SMU, and several other teams, they need some losses with these teams, which could happen. For example, Ohio State is going to be playing Indiana, and Indiana's undefeated, but they haven't played a single top 25 team. So if Ohio State whoops up on them, that's going to change things quite a bit, and it may kick Indiana out. It's hard to say right now, what if it's a close game? Indiana's a decent team. I've watched them. I just don't know how good they are because they hadn't played a top 25 team. Their schedule is ranked 106th, which is kind of laughable, and you can see that right here. Well, actually, it's 109th. For example, Boise State is 60th. Tennessee is 21st. Georgia had a really tough schedule. They've got the toughest schedule. They're number 2. Notre Dame is 88th, so they've had a very easy schedule, and that's very frustrating when you see that. It's funny that Texas is 43rd, which is just, I can't believe what an easy schedule they got in the SEC. You never see that. Alabama's 15th. Ole Miss is 27th. Georgia got kind of creaked this year. But you can see they're not ranked that high. None of the teams were as far as strength of schedule. And then there's a lot of games that could go either way coming up. Ole Miss heading to Florida. Florida's been playing well, and we covered this yesterday, I believe, or the day before. But they got to get past them, and they got to get past Mississippi State. Georgia, they got to get past Georgia Tech. Tennessee's got an easy game, so does Georgia this next week. It's the following week. Texas got to get past Kentucky. Texas A&M's got to get past Auburn because they're on the outside looking in. Alabama's got to get past Oklahoma and Auburn. And Tennessee's got to beat Vanderbilt. And then you've got the big game between Texas and Texas A&M. So Tennessee still has a very good shot at getting in. They need one of the teams up front, in front of them, to lose, which could very easily happen in the next 2 weeks. And then you've got the conference championships. How do they treat them? What if you're a 2-team SEC loss team and you get beat in the conference championship? Now you got 3 losses. What about the teams with only 2 in the SEC? So the conference championship can almost be a well, it is kind of a negative. Unless you win it, you're in kind of bad shape. So in an attempt to make the conference championships meaningful, they may have made them even less meaningful in a way, which is probably why they're going to be going to 16 next year or the year before or the year after. I would think they've talked about going to 14, but they might as well go to 16, let the top 8 have home field advantage, and the number 1 team gets to play the number 6 team. So they've got 2 huge advantages, which is a big prize to have those 2 advantages, and let them play. And that's going to also bring in a lot more money to the colleges who are going to be paying out a bunch of money to players starting next year, $21 million a year they're going to pay out. They're going to need more money.
Comes in pretty handy down here, bub.
Oh,
Perfect place to get it is the college football playoff. It's going to add a bunch of games. It's pretty much going to add about twice as many games, so that's a lot more money for the schools. Now I'm going to talk to you about why I'm not happy about Ward Manuel being in charge, being the chairman. I just don't think that's a good idea, and here's exactly why. This is a guy that's the athletic director who is in charge and still in charge at Michigan. He is in the process of negotiating penalties because of the biggest scandal we've seen in decades, which is the Connor Stalions sign-stealing scandal, which was a big one. Now, this team was winning at a 69% clip. They had cut Jim Harbaugh's pay in half, about to fire him, and suddenly here comes Connor Stalions riding to the rescue, and they go from a 69% winning percentage to 93%. They get in the playoff multiple times. They beat Ohio State 3 years in a row, something they hadn't done in forever. They had lost like 16 of the last 17 games against them, but now they can all of a sudden beat them no problem. And so you've got a guy that's working with the NCAA. Here's the thing about the NCAA. They can't stand Tennessee right now. Now, it's not Tennessee's fault. They warned them and warned them. They cooperated with them over the Jeremy Pruitt situation, fired the staff, brought all the evidence to the NCAA. They got commended for exemplary cooperation from the NCAA. Everything's fine. We got to pay $8 million, 2 years probation, had 2-year cloud over us, hurt our recruiting, hurt everything. And we had to lose 25 scholarships. So it was a big penalty. Well, they come back. because they want to make an example out of us as a repeat offender over a plane ride. A plane ride for Nico Iamaleava from California. And what it's really about is they're mad that we paid reportedly $8 million to Nico to come to Tennessee, which is NIL, which is allowed according to the Supreme Court, who, when the Alston case, which covered that, they won 9-0. Well, the NCAA said, heck with that. We're still going to go after Tennessee. Tennessee warned them and warned them, said, don't do this. Attorney General Scometti, who is the Tennessee Attorney General, warned him, said, don't do this. I will take you to court and I will wreck you.
Don't be a fool. We can do this easy, or we can do it real easy.
Don't do this. Donde Plowman, Danny White warned the NCAA, said, don't do this. We have cooperated. We've looked into this. There's nothing here other than a plane ride, which he's allowed to take. They said, no, we're going to get you. We're going to get you good. And there was even talk about the death penalty. And for those of you that are going to, oh, no, there was no death penalty. That's a bunch of crap. Really? Okay. Sports Talk Jay brings receipts. Yeah, right there. Tennessee versus NCAA. Could the death penalty be involved? And, of course, that was our buddy Pat Forday. He's the guy that gets all the leaks from the NCAA that can't stand Tennessee. So having Ward Manuel as the chairman, don't you think he wants to win favor with the NCAA? What's the best way to do that? Well, let's kind of kick Tennessee out. I'm not saying it's exactly why he did it. I'm just saying the NCAA would probably look in favor of that, don't you think? Oh, yeah, we don't like them. Look what they did to us. They hammered us in court, which we did, and totally wrecked them. And now they can't do anything with NIL. And by the way, before anybody says, oh, that plane ride was against the rules, let's see what the NCAA president said about that at the time.
Right now, there are no rules around how name, image, and likeness works. And for your audience, that's the opportunity for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness and their...
Yeah. Once again, I bring the receipts. So having Ward Manuel in there is not good for Tennessee. First of all, he's Big Ten. Secondly, he's trying to win favor with the NCAA so they don't go so hard on Michigan with their penalties. And that's probably not an unintelligent way of handling it. Guy's got 2 master's degrees. He's not stupid. So I don't like having him as chairman. I don't understand why he is. I guess, that's a reward for having the biggest scandal in decades. Why are you the chairman? He even tried to give Jim Harbaugh, the head coach who was in charge, an extension and a raise after the whole Connor Stallion sign stealing scandal. The Big Ten coaches were ready to revolt. So that's why I don't like him being his chairman, and I'm not surprised we were kicked out. But we can still get back in. I think we got at least a 50-50 shot at this. So, I'm not totally distraught about it. But needless to say, I don't think that committee thinks much of us.
Now go home and get your shine box. You piece of yeah. Come on.
Yeah, they want us to go get our shine box. There's no question. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. We're still in there. Don't give up. And right over here's a subscribe button. Hit this little button to help you get my videos. Won't cost you a dime. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And if we had 16 teams, none of this would be a problem. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. And we will be soon. They'll take care of it eventually.